So we're into the top four. All of these teams have won races in 2024. In fact, all of the drivers, bar one very notable exception that we will get to, won multiple races this season. And that also applies to Mercedes, who finished 4th overall in the championship. Now, this season has to go down as a regression for Mercedes. In 2023, they were 2nd overall in the championship. Interestingly, with less points than what they managed this season. But such has been the consistency of the top four, they actually slipped from 2nd down to 4th, which has to go down as a disappointment overall. Midway through the season, when George Russell initially won the Belgian Grand Prix, but of course was later taken away from him. Hamilton obviously won that after the penalty. Hamilton also won in Silverstone, and Russell also won in Austria. It looked as though Mercedes, they might have a late charge to win the Constructors Championship. They were certainly looking better than Ferrari and more consistent than Red Bull at that point. However, did not happen for them. After the summer break, the pace in the car simply was not there, and they seemed to rediscover it around Las Vegas, but that very much seemed like a bit of a flash in the pan as well. Overall, Hamilton was a bit disappointing this season, I would say, but what saves him in terms of his grade, though, is an incredible performance in Las Vegas, where he went from, 10th place up to 2nd by the finish. He also won incredibly at Silverstone as well, and had a fantastic drive to beat his teammate despite starting all the way near the back of the grid in Abu Dhabi. Overall, throughout this season, though, Russell was a much more consistent driver, and that is reflected in the championship standings. Just 22 points between Hamilton and Russell, but Russell ahead in the Drivers' Championship, his 6th place overall, higher than Hamilton's 7th. This being the worst season for Lewis Hamilton in terms of his overall finishing in the Drivers' standings. He's never finished below 6th place before this season, but he managed it in his final season for Mercedes. So it's a bit disappointing for Hamilton, but he's saved by the fact that he actually managed to win incredibly at Silverstone and get that podium finish in Las Vegas as well. He showed flashes of his old self, although there were some very dark moments like in Qatar where he was like, I want to retire the car, I want to give up basically. But overall, the car is a big regression over what was happening in 2023. Going from 2nd down to 4th, that is not the fault of the drivers, that is the fault of the team. So for me, Mercedes, disappointed, and they are getting a D grade overall this season. I think, like I said, there was real optimism in the summer break, but then they came back and they just weren't there. Very much the opposite of what Ferrari was, really, in my opinion. But yeah, I think Russell gets a B grade because he overperformed that car at times, and I think there's been some incredible drives, understated drives, like in Brazil, for example. He was way up there. He was more consistent this season than Hamilton, and to be more consistent in the same car as a 7-time world champion, that has to earn you props. Yes, there were some dodgy moments, Qatar qualifying being one of them, but overall, I think he did quite good, to be honest. Hamilton, disappointed. Overall, I was tempted to give him a D grade, but I can't do it because of the wins. There's clearly massive talent there, and I'm very excited to see what he does at Ferrari next season. But this season, I think it's probably his worst season in Formula 1 overall. But that tells you how high of a standard this guy has set over the last decade and a half in the sport. So there we go, guys. Let's head on to the team that finished, that won the Drivers' Championship, but finished 3rd overall in the Constructors. It's Red Bull.